Welcome to the Priority Zero podcast. Stories of service.
Welcome to the Priority Zero podcast. My name's Rusty, and today with us we have Jarryd Goundrey. Now, Jarryd is an Australian Army veteran, former chef, and now he's a travelling comedian around Australia. So, Jarryd, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. It's interesting hearing, whenever people introduce me, I'm always like, oh, is that my life? You don't often get a bio. Just a regular old human being. Before I was a comedian, I never had a bio. And now people are like, oh, he's done this, he's done that. And listen to it, and I'm like, man, I should have just knuckled down at school and figured it out early or something.
You've done well, mate. You've done absolutely well. So, look, I'm very, very excited to have you on. You've had quite an interesting career path, as we said, going from the Australian Army to the chef to a travelling comedian. But we'll start at the beginning to get a bit of an overview of everything that you've done. So what motivated you to join the Army in the first place? And why the Army?
I'll be honest with you. I think I've spoken to a lot of people over my years about why they joined the Army. When you're in the Army, you hear other people talk about why they joined the Army. And a lot of them are like, hell yeah, Australia, or I want to get this trade, or I want this massive thing. I was just sitting in Perth, where I'm from. I was about 18 years of age. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was working at McDonald's, which was my high school job, which I just happened to keep for another year after I left school.
Nothing wrong with that. I worked at Macca's. Nothing wrong with that.
I loved it, actually.
It was great. Me and my wife actually both worked there.
You got a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my first girlfriend was at McDonald's too. So it's a lot of budding romances started at McDonald's.
Absolutely.
I was in the kitchen, she was in the drive-through. You know, it was controversial.
Sounds very familiar, mate. Sounds very familiar.
It was the first time I'd met anyone that didn't go to school with me, because the McDonald's near my house was kind of in the junction of three schools. So it was the first time, as sort of 14 and 9 months when I got a job there, that we could hang out with anyone that wasn't just in class with us. So as a nerdy young guy with not a lot of confidence, I was like, there's new chicks that don't know I'm a loser. I was like, this is a fresh start, you know what I mean?
Clean slate.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty cool. So I was just sitting around. Look, I finished school. You finished school a little bit earlier in Western Australia. I think you're like a year before everyone else. Hadn't done much, went to Bali with my best mate, and then all of my friends in that year afterwards were just going and getting apprenticeships or starting university and all of these sort of things. And I'm really glad I didn't have the pressure to just do something. I was like, no, I'm just going to work at Macca's and figure out what's next. I knew that working in Western Australia, a lot of people will get a trade, go to the mines, get a house, get a wife, get 3 kids, get an investment property, get 7 jet skis, you know.
Yep. That's
the normal career path. And I looked at that and I thought, this isn't really what I want. And I looked at people going to university and I was like, lucky I had the forethought to be like, I don't really want 60 grand of debt for something I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. So I was really just treading water, and I was a bit frustrated with my life. And it wasn't until I went to the city of Perth to meet my mum for lunch, and she sent me a text message. She's like, I'm going to be an hour late. Can you just kill an hour? And I was literally about 3 doors down from the Army Recruitment Centre.
See.
And I was like, there's nothing to do in the city of Perth, by the way. So you needed to find something to do for an hour is quite the task.
Fair enough.
And I went in there, I stood there, I picked up a pamphlet, and this dude came over and he's like, just saw me 18 years of age in Perth. You know, those recruiters, they're like, we got one here.
Absolutely.
And he just sat me down and just told me all of these lies. Watch that movie. You know, the recruitment video is incredible.
I've had a lot of people say they were inspired by the recruitment videos.
It's just people mopping the floor and smiling and playing rugby. And not one point in there is there someone sort of sleeping in a puddle or like lying
in the freezing cold
while he's jerking off. You know what I mean? It's completely false. So I watched this video and I was like, whoa, this army looks awesome. Like, you know, And you learn later in life that they're like, you don't get the job you want, you get the job that they need the quota filled for. So I was just like wide-eyed, and I was like, what can I do? And this guy's like, mate, the infantry, you would just be perfect for, like, we need men like you. And I'm like, I'm not even a man at this stage, I'm a boy. The army needs boys like you. And look, one thing led to another. I was signed up for another day. I went back to my lunch. I had lunch with my mum, and I said, I think about joining the army. And she was like, my parents have always been amazing. They're just like, you go make your own life up. And she was like, oh, why? And I was like, opening up this booklet that they give you, and I'm like, look at all these people, they're happy. But I think in reflection, for me, it was just, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I could do something big. I've always been a dreamer. I've always been off into the future. I'm sort of a bit ambitious. And I just thought, if I sign this dotted line and do this, when you're playing cards and you have 7 cards and you don't like your cards, you can just put your cards in and get new cards, and that's your turn.
Yep.
I was like, if I sign this, then I get another life. And it might not be the one I want, but I'm on an adventure, and now everything is different. And I was craving that.
Oh, absolutely. So, sometimes you don't have to know what the end goal is. You just have to take the next step.
Dude, and I did it, and then I got really lucky. A lot of people, I think they sign up and then they have to wait a long time to go. But I think my turnaround was quick. It was like 6 weeks or something. went back to my
that's very. My last podcast episode with Michael, he signed up to be a dental assistant with the Navy. He waited 2 years. It's ridiculous.
It was a whirlwind, because I literally spoke to my mum, went to another day. Let's say I can't remember back in the day how many it was. This is 2000, and I'm going to say 5 or 6. And it talked to her, and then I think there's 2 or 3 sort of days that you need to do. And then by the end day, I was like, yep, all right, you're coming in. Spoke to my mates, and I was like, I'm going in like 6 weeks. I'm out of here. And they were just like, what the hell? And it was just such a quick turnaround. And I'm really glad for that at the time.
Yeah, it would have made the system, I get lost a lot easier, in that anticipation, especially if you're waiting for that extended period of time. It just eat you away, I guess, because you got so much excitement, you have a little bit of anxiety going on, and
it's the perfect amount of time to watch every action film ever made, just one a day. And I'm like, I'm watching Commando, and I'm like, this is my life now. This is
inspired. Did you know? Obviously, coming from Perth, that's where the SAS is based. Had you heard anything about them?
Nothing.
And what
I
they
didn't
do?
know about anything, mate. I was just uninformed. I didn't really look up to the military. We had people in our family that had served, but I hadn't thought too much about it. My great-grandfather, Frank Goundrey, is one of the guys on the pyramids in the 11th Battalion on that famous photo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we had a photo of that in our house, and I didn't even know. I was like, oh, is that? I just thought my parents were just like, I don't know, bogans or something. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. The Anzacs, fucking get around it.
Jesus.
It wasn't until I got back from the military, someone pointed out, you're like, yeah, that's Jeff, your grandfather's dad. And I was like, oh, no shit. Like, so that's pretty nice to be able to point him out and, like, see someone that, when someone kind of looks like you.
Yep.
That's really interesting. So I wasn't a fanboy. I wasn't even like really, deep into guns or anything. That was it. Just purely, let's get some adventure. Let's do something else. So.
How did you find basic at Kapuka when you went there?
Fuck, what a shock. I think going into it not having, once I'd made the call, like I watched Full Metal Jacket and I was like, oh, okay. I thought that might have been a caricature.
Yep.
The sort of yelling and the near your beds and all that sort of stuff. I loved it. It was cool. Once you get through the first week, I like watching other people.
Yep.
And I'm very good at being a grey man. So I didn't get myself into any trouble. I think I got yelled at once.
Yeah, right. You did well.
Yeah, I knew when to keep the mouth shut. I loved it at the start because you see when that first happens, the Americans call it a shark attack. Have you heard that term?
I have, yes.
It's like off the bus, let's go. Like
yep.
For the first 4 hours, which is pretty intense. I was observing how everyone was treating it. And you always there was these 3 dudes, I think they were all friends from the Sunshine Coast. And they were like laughing at it. Like, so they were like, you fucking blah, blah, blah. And then these guys like laughing. And I just remember looking at him like, your life's so bad now. Like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like, fucking common sense. And that was then, on the line and all that sort of things. It's cool. I think being intimidated is really good for you. Like, if you see weirdos who, rich kids and all this sort of stuff, people that have had really sheltered, good lives. This is going to sound stupid. People who have good lives are weird.
No, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
How can you test your resilience if you don't have some sort of stressor to test it against?
That's it. So, man, there's nothing like getting yelled in your face. It's so good. It makes you feel small and powerless. And, in that you got to build your own power in your soul. I think it's really incredible. And it was just amazing to watch all of that. And yeah, I got through it okay.
How was the march out for you?
It was good, except for the fact that like my family had come and they're like, check out Jarryd, he's gone and made something with himself. And then what's funny about march out is all of your family come from around Australia to watch this thing, but all you want to do is just get hammered with these new mates you've got. I think we did 80 days or something. So all you want to do is just go get hammered with your new friends.
Yep.
And your mum's there like, oh, you hang out with us. And you're like, yeah, but this guy's from bloody Mornington Peninsula and he's my best friend now and I'm going to remember him forever. And then...
Yeah. These guys are all going to go to different units around Australia. You're all going to get dispersed and you've, spent the last, like you said, about 80 days in this shared chaos, state of chaos and learning and bonding, like that brotherhood that you get. It just, it's...
Let's be honest, it's a healthy dose of trauma bonding and sort of Stockholm syndrome.
Absolutely.
It goes together and it's like, we made it as well. When you're in it, you think every day, you think this is just you don't have any concept of anything else. I mean, showing my age here, but what I went through was just the days before smartphones. Like you only have what's going on. You might get you write a letter to someone, which is like weird. And you might get your phone to send a text message once every now and then. But you just you have this we did it mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel sorry for anyone's family that spent a lot of money to travel to Wagga Wagga to hang out with you and listen to your stories because you have 6-7 beers and you're the worst human being in the world.
So after your time at Kapuka, you went to what's commonly known as, I guess, the School of Cool, Singleton.
Yeah, the grunt factory.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Singleton.
Once again, I got lucky. We didn't have any holding. I mean, this is 2006, so the tempo of the military is high, right?
Yep.
And, doing what I do now as a comedian and, making military content, I speak to a lot of diggers that are in now. They always send me messages like, hey, bro. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, we're at Singleton. And I'm like, oh, how long you been there? They're like, oh, we've been in holding platoon for 5 months.
Wow.
Like, oh, that must suck. Like, they just show up to a parade and then find some tasks to do, play a lot of enemy, just waiting to get them through. So I'm not sure what needs to happen there, if they need to make it bigger, or I feel like if this was a business, you would just find the bottleneck and employ the people to fix it and put some systems in place. But the military is not like that at all. Yeah,
but imagine doing 3 months at Kapuka, then going to Singo and being in holding for 5 months, and then doing your single training after that. You're already halfway through your contract.
That's like an 18-year-old, 20-year-old dudes that get the weekend off and they're not doing anything. They've got heaps of frustration. Poor Newcastle. They just hit that place like a cyclone,
Jesus.
But yeah, I got there. I think we started within a week, and it was cool. I enjoyed. It's funny when the show, when you're at Kapuka, you're like, oh, the whole military is going to be like this. It's very regimented. It's very structured. Everyone's just screaming at you. And then you get to Singo and there's just it just drops off, grows some sideburns. You can get like a little bit of hair, and I got that taste of being like, yeah, now we're just training and we're just getting qualified, But obviously, if you mess up, you're in trouble. Or if you gob off, you're gonna know about it. But if you just kind of learn stuff, you can have a really good time. It's cool. I enjoyed it. That's when you start getting into weapons, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to get qualified in so much.
Is there any memorable moments you can tell us about your time in Singo?
I remember, when I look back on it, what I talk about people with is probably Friday nights or Friday afternoon, you get an early knockoff, and dude's just like getting changed as quick as he can, getting to the taxi, getting to the train station. Like we'd almost sprint there to go to Newcastle. And it's your first little bit of freedom. So you have all of like those mates that you went, then you say goodbye, and then all of the grunts get together. And then it's the first time you can start like hanging out with other people, and you sort of get a bit arrogant. So you're just in Newcastle like, yeah, we're in the army, just to like girls and stuff. And you look back on it when you get to your battalion or you get out, and you're like, oh, those people are like below lids. But in your mind, you're like, we're not a kapuka any longer.
Yeah, exactly. You've got that freedom.
Yeah, you're like, I'm pretty much a killer.
Yep.
And just like talking to girls and stuff, and just having like the best weekends ever. You're young, so you can drink and back it up. So you can come back on a Sunday night, get a sleep, and then you're into some pack march or crazy PT on the Monday, and you're just literally invincible.
Jesus.
And you just feel, remember those days? Remember those days when you could party hard and play harder and work hard?
That was a long time ago, man. For me, that was I'm older than you.
Oh,
I'm definitely older than you.
I'm 40 in a few years, and I'm just like, I look back on it now, I'm like, how? When? What does that mean? Like, you didn't get diarrhea from like eating it. Now I don't even drink anymore, right? We can get into that later. I don't drink anymore, but now if I just look at like the wrong food, I'm like, well, now I've got the squirts. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take long, eh? It doesn't take long. Time goes fast.
I just thought that was awesome. It was just like balls to the wall. Like if you weren't working hard, you were fucking having the greatest time. Like no one ever went, oh, I'm gonna like get a good night's sleep because tomorrow's a big day. Like no one did that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely. Like, what are we doing? We're having fun. We're watching. If you're on base in your room, you got 6 dudes in one little tiny room watching one movie. It's like hilarious, you know what I mean? Someone finds a new piece of porn, you're like, guys, have you seen this one? And we're like, no, let's all watch it together.
All gather around Jesus.
And I miss I miss that, but that's when there's a sadness in maturing, of which you never know when you did your last silly thing.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You never knew it was the last time, and you look back on that and you're like, that's not even me, that's a different person, and that guy was having a good time. What
was your toughest piece of training that you've done through the military?
Tough, I think that that first time you do a defensive operation where they keep you awake.
Oh, the sleep deprivation.
Yeah, that was like the first time when I was like, nah, like come on, this isn't. Are we capable of this? This is silly.
They keep you 48 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, something like this. Maybe like longer, and you're just digging in the whole night. And then there's sort of like you're getting contacted at night. So you're just awake the whole time, standing in a pit, and you're like, you do like these micro fall asleeps. So you're standing there with a rifle, and your legs just go bow, and they just hit the front of it. And you're like, oh, that was like my body being like, nah, we're over here.
And jolt yourself awake.
Which meant like it gives me such an appreciation for, I imagine in the world wars, for example, when it was on here, just getting those guys must have done some crazy stuff on some crazy like lack of sleep. Like imagine being in the First World War in a trench under artillery barrage through the night. You see some of those photos, and you look at in those guys' eyes, and you're like, having felt just that without the fear of death, without the stench of death, without the rats, without the fucking disease. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a tough.
Absolutely, man.
We've done that. We've done 1/10 of it and just been like, my life sucks.
It's crazy to think back on all that stuff that they went through during that time. Like you said, the unsanitary conditions, like a lot of them died because of disease and things as well. It's just wild, man.
When I was in the middle of, I was probably in the last 10% of being sleep deprivation. The fucking the DS and they played this trick on me, right? So you're just delusional, and then they like bring me up to where they are, and they're like, "There's a girl at the front gate asking for you," and I'm like, I'm like, oh my god, like, yeah, she's driven from Newcastle, and I'm like, no, and they're like, she said she needs to talk to you. What are you going to say to her? And I'm like, fuck, who is this for? And you're so out of it that you're like, what? Yeah, mate, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Just tell her no. And you like, there's no one even there, and I'm like, but you're like, just tell her no.
They just plant that little seed in your mind. Oh, that's crazy.
I remember having a mini freak out, like back, they send you back to the pit. They come get me again. She's not leaving, man. She's at the front of she's at the front of the range control. She's at range control. What are you going to say?
Oh, range control now too, Jesus.
And I'm like, mate, like they just decided like, Goundrey, we're going to get him. And they're like, to them, it's like, this is another day at work. They're like, let's play the fucking, there's a lady at range control gag again.
Yeah, but you think back on it, right? Like, I've never been in the military. I've been on lots of military bases through my time working as a locksmith and that. But to generally get to range control, there's some sort of security. They're just not going to let a chick through to come all the way to range control. But obviously, that sleep deprivation.
And you're probably 2 days, you're just like, oh no, like this is happening, damn it. Oh my God, is she pregnant? Like, she doesn't even exist.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And it's just like, oh my God. And yeah, that was, I tell you the truth, that was the closest thing I've had to a panic attack ever.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Wow. So where did you go after the time at Singo? Where was your first posting?
Gownsville, baby, 2nd Battalion. They give you a choice, and I picked that.
Yep.
And I got it because each of the battalions, they still do, but at the time had like a role or a theme.
Yep.
And so
is that like one on ready battle group, one on the next deployment, that sort of thing?
Yeah. What stuck out to me was so the 1st Battalion was amphibious at the time. I looked at that and I was like, water, not for me, thanks. The 3rd Battalion was airborne.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
Everyone, that was kind of attractive, but I think all of my instructors were not airborne dudes, and they used to just fucking tease the airborne guys flat out because they're always like a little bit cocky, they've got wings tattooed on them, like their chin's a little higher.
Yep, gotcha.
And they were all teasing him, and I was like, I don't want to hang out with those fuckheads. Everyone teases them. I was just like, everyone's teasing him. It sounds like a silly decision to go there. I don't want to be the joke. Whereas in reality, I reckon it'd be pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if I could convince myself to jump out of the plane. I don't know if I got the balls to do it, eh?
I mean, you find out when you're hooked in.
Pretty much.
There was 4 RAR at the time, which was later became 2 Commando. 5, 7 RAR, which was mechanized.
Yeah.
Which then later detached into 5 and 7 RAR, which is now linking back up because the people in Canberra have too many jobs and they just like move men here.
Do you know, are they moving to, so obviously 5-7 was mechanized in Darwin, 7 went to Adelaide, 5 stayed in Darwin as a regular infantry unit.
Correct.
Are they, I've heard all 1st Brigade are trying to move to Adelaide is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true.
It's going back for a while though. They're all going to Darwin.
Yeah, right.
From my understanding, I mean, there's people in Canberra that are making the decisions that probably don't know that either.
Yep.
But yeah, my general knowledge is that positioning north, obviously, if you look at a map of Australia, you just go, okay, cool, this is how defense works. So they're the mechanized guys. So different to where I went, I was just at shows in Darwin, so I was talking to the guys there, and one of my mates is a warrant officer in there, and he's like, yeah, being a soldier in this brigade is different to being in 3rd Brigade in Townsville because, one, it's hot, so you can't work in the middle of the day, and it's just different to light infantry. So light infantry is definitely based more on sort of patrolling and tactics and the rest of them. And as soon as you put mechanized into it, there's a lot of more moving parts. Very important role, and to fight, to do soldiering alongside tanks and APCs is just a different kettle of fish, and it's really, really cool. But I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's option number 2, but then you kind of got to be in Darwin. And I was like, I hadn't been to Darwin before, and later in life I realized Darwin's really cool. But at the time I was like, oh, Darwin, yeah, it doesn't sound like you're going to get any routes up there. So then 8-9 RAR was in 6 RAR and 8-9 RAR were in Brisbane, and they are what's called motorized. Some military nerd's going to pull me up that I've made a mistake here. That's okay. But this is as good as I remember it. But they were pretty much Bushmaster mounted, and you know they had the sort of reputation of being a little bit of a lazier unit. They're like, oh, they just drive around and do that. And I was like, but you're in Brisbane, and Brisbane sounds pretty cool and also a good place to get a route. And then the happy medium was Townsville. And I thought the 2nd Battalion was air mobile at the time, and, you know, Black Hawk mounted, like it sounded cool.
That does sound cool.
You know what I mean? I was like, it sounds cool, and Townsville's like a bit of an up and coming city. I want to do something cool. I want to be cool. This is my entire, like, at this stage thing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or anything. I was like, what's the coolest I can do? And that sounded like, you know, as an 18, 19-year-old man, I was like, let's go get cool. And then so I was like, cool, put it in, got it. And then I got there, and then I realized that pretty much every Black Hawk helicopter that they had available was either in East Timor, Iraq, or Afghanistan. And although we were helicopter mounted air mobile, we didn't see a fucking chopper ever.
Did you ever end up getting in one?
Not until I went overseas, but we used to get in the back of a MOG, which is a truck.
Yep.
And we used to pretend they were helicopters. And the youngest soldier in the section, it was his job to get a piece of hoochie cord string and tie a siloom stick to it, a glow stick, crack it, and then you had to stand on top and you had to swing it around like a rotor blade.
Oh, Jesus.
And they're like, get up there, swing it around. And you're like, and they're like, make the noise. So you're up there being like, and they're like, louder, we can't hear you. And it was I quickly realized that air mobile light infantry wasn't like Black Hawk Down where you drop ropes onto rooftops and do cool stuff. They're like, the enemy is 3 days that way.
Yep, so they'll drop you off to the closest point that they feel comfortable going, and you're walking from there.
And I was like, this isn't cool at all. But yeah, ended up having a great time. It's a great unit, 2nd Battalion. And now 2RER is a different unit. It's pretty much amphibious. I'm not sure if that's the right term I've used. Someone will be like, it's not bloody amphibious. But yeah, it's a great unit. Got a good history, and I just loved it.
Nice. And how long did you stay in that unit for?
About 7 years, man, in total. So.
Oh wow! So you're there for the duration of the rest of your career, pretty much.
Never left, which was fantastic. So. Which was lucky for me.
What's some opportunities that you got to do within that unit? You said you went overseas, is that right?
Yeah, I went to Timor really early too, which was great. When I first got to the unit, there was in Alpha Company where we were, there was a whole bunch of guys that just came back from Iraq, and we just thought they were the coolest guys ever. Like, they'd been on a deployment, they had gongs. It was still pretty early days, that stuff. So there wasn't lots of people with like new age gongs. And like in 2006.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were just like, whoa. And they'd done their job, you know, and like I think they got into like one cool contact. And like everyone had a story about it. And we were like, what's it like, you know? And then some guy's like, yeah, I was on top of a Bushmaster just fucking brrr. We used to just gather around like kids listening to their grandfather, like, fucking tell us more, man. Like, yeah, I fired a 40mm grenade launcher and hit nothing. We're like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. And, you know, I think a lot of people, the misconception with the military, once you get out and you're a veteran, you talk to normal civilians and they go, oh yeah, I've served overseas, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry that you got to do that. You're like, dude, that was the fucking greatest time of my life. We were having so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, training for a football game, but never actually playing. Like, you guys train to do this job, and, although you are putting your life at risk to do it, you're actually testing yourself, and you're putting through the training, to actually go and do it. I mean,
oh yeah, we were so horny for battle. We were like, we were watching the news, just being like, oh my God, can a war please kick off? Can someone fucking, like, at the time there was like all this tension between like North Korea. They were like bombing those weird islands and stuff. And we were like, dudes, we're going on a bloody war.
Everyone's G'd up to go.
We were so excited, man. We were so excited.
It's so interesting. So I'm reading a book by Jason Fox at the moment. He was the Royal Marines and the SBS. And he talked a little bit about a study that was done. And he talked about people, going to war, like young veterans that have come back from war, and their parents talking to them after they've gotten out. They had, mates killed in action. They've had mates wounded. They've had all this trauma, everything they've seen and gone through. Every single one, or the dude that they were talking about, basically said, I wouldn't change anything. Like, that was the best time of my life. I think a lot of us live lives that are way too comfortable. We never get out of that, the comfort zone to be able to test ourselves, or we're too scared to take that next step and let fear control our lives. We don't get in that state because, once you get over the fear, that's when you get into that real growth stage. And a lot of you guys, veterans have done that so early in your lives, at 18, 19, 20, and been exposed to so much. It forces you to grow up so quick.
There's nothing good on the side of being safe.
Exactly right.
Right. I look at what I do now as a a stand-up comedian. I've arguably made it, and that took being confronted. That took living at any stage of that journey of the the 1,500 gigs. 1,000 of those that I didn't get paid for at the start. Like, if any of those had I thought, ugh, like I can't expose myself in front of this stuff. This doesn't exist, and my future from here doesn't exist, and you got to get out there.
Absolutely. Like I can't imagine how you felt going out there for your first show as a comedian, going up on stage and go, am I going to be funny? Are these people going to engage with you? There must be so much going through your head.
But the military was good for that, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, the army especially has a lot of toxic traits, and it doesn't really set people up for the future in an administrative front. Like, a lot of people get out of the military and they don't know how to run their life. That's a thing.
Yep, it's a fact. Yeah,
I'll never sugarcoat the bad sides of the military. It damages people in lots of different ways. But what it does do well is it gives you the ability to be greater than you are. And if you have the balls to continue that trend in your life, you can be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And, all these traits you carry through you throughout the rest of your life, basically.
Yeah, totally.
Nice. Is there anything from your time in Timor? So were you there at the peacemaking stage or the peacekeeping stage?
We went to it was part of the second intervention. So whilst we were 2007, we deployed Op Astute, and we were there, and it was very peacekeeping.
Yep.
And then whilst we were there, the president got shot, and then they had that sort of like surge time. So we were like, "Hell, giddy up! Something's going to happen." And that was really cool in ways. And I was actually on exchange with the New Zealand Army when things changed, which I loved, by the way. I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. And, dealing with another force and seeing such a great professional army, like New Zealand Army's fantastic. I mean, there's like 2 battalions, and there's like 7 dudes in the army, and they're great. No Air Force, just 7 Maori guys. And I'm like, that's enough to
Yeah, that's enough. 7 Maori guys are scary enough to scare off a whole
Dude,
battalion.
I've been on the piss with one Maori. I don't want to see what goes on, right? And yeah, just watching them, and because they are such a small army, they don't have like the budget that like it's funny watching a small army like Australia to see someone else and be like, yeah, we're the superior force here. Because it's like we go on exercise with the Americans and we're like, holy shit. Like, maybe that's how they look at us. And
absolutely.
But yeah, like things changed and we did a lot of great, there was that sort of political sort of turmoil there that happened. From memory, I don't have a great memory in general. So I get dates and stuff mixed up all the time. I'm not like a lot of veterans where they're like, this happened on this date and this is exactly a bit blurry because I've done so much in my life. But there's a guy called Alfredo Ronaldo that essentially took one part of the Timorese military and was doing a bit of a rebel activity. And anyway, he and his cronies went and shot the president, prime minister, president, one of them.
Yeah, because he got made it back to Darwin.
Right.
After he got shot, yeah.
But Alfredo Ronaldo got capped during the process.
Yeah, wow.
He got killed with a lot of his dudes. I don't think it was thoroughly thought out, but and we were all sort of like, after that, did a lot of really good soldiering, a lot of like great patrols. I mean, we didn't find much. We were looking for like bad dudes that never really, I mean, we're in their country in the jungle. You're not finding anyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to be found. They don't want to be found. But that was great. A lot of great cordons for the special forces guys. So they were, going into villages to find things, and we had to sort of seal off and do a lot of that sort of stuff. And it was just it was a good time. But I think East Timor, what I really enjoyed most and what I think about all the time is just being such a young guy and seeing a new perspective on the world. Like, it was so cool to patrol into villages that had rarely seen sort of like white people before. And, like where we live in Australia is like, you won the lottery.
Absolutely.
You're poor in Australia, you are rich in most of the world. And, I came from a good house. My parents loved me, and, we didn't want for much. We weren't rich, but we had Christmas presents. You know what I mean? And it was just a good upbringing.
Yeah.
And just going over to these places and being like, this is a different life. This is incredible. And one of the greatest sort of memories of my time there is we teamed up with this NGO who essentially, they get old glasses donated to them. So they have tubs and tubs of like spectacles. And we just flew out to a village one day that was in choppers. Really difficult to even get there by road. That's how remote these sort of places are. There might be like 500-600 people from the village and the surrounding area, and they all gathered into this town to work with this NGO where they all filed through. They did eye tests on every single one of them, and they just decked them out with glasses. And these people and we were like there to run security, but there was nothing to secure. It was joyous. And so we just, weapons down, and we just played soccer with kids and just had this greatest time. But like watching people see for the first time, like properly, like I wear glasses. I remember when like your vision goes away so slowly that you don't realize it's happening.
Yep.
And sometimes you put your glasses on, you're like, holy shit, that tree's beautiful.
Yep, I get it.
See the leaves.
I get it.
Or you put your glasses on, and you're like, oh, that lady I was perving on was an old man.
It's so good to hear such a wholesome story come out of a place like that, because normally you talk to people and they talk about the bad stuff or the trauma, but I'm sure those kids really appreciated you guys coming and playing that soccer, and that's how you build the hearts and minds as well, right? You engage with the community, you build your relationships, and I guess it's nice to come out of a deployment and know that you did something good like that, rather than having to do something hard that ends up to be good, like taking a life, going there and engaging with that community, playing the soccer. It must feel really good.
I think about it all the time. It's cool, to an age now where I'm like, oh, those kids are adults. And, that's how fast life travels. It felt like yesterday when I was there, but I was a kid. And it's like, yes, these people now probably got families of their own, these children.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that they remember that. like in my job in comms, like we're not seen, right? We're on the phones, and I always tell my crew on my team, they might not know what you look like, they might not know your name, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And that's important, because we're dealing with people on kind of an opposite side of what the military do. They're still having, what these guys are having one of the worst days of their life, either them or, an event that they're kind of involved with, it, whether they're calling for someone else or themselves. And, if we can make them feel at ease and make them feel that they are being looked after and get the ambulance there in a timely fashion and, help until we can get there, how we leave that situation, we make them feel they can reflect on, and we can also reflect on that, because a lot of that stays with us as well.
Totally, man. And look at what, I think this is a controversial statement, but I think veterans cop more love, not than they should, but like I think more people should be brought into that space. I got some mates who are paramedics, got mates who are cops, and they're like, yeah, and we had to like scrape this kid off the floor and then go fucking tell their parents. And I'm like, dude, like that's tough.
It's rough, man. I don't know how cops do it.
Oh, we should bring it in. This is happening with the internet and a lot of great podcasts. And the first responder, I guess, is a term that probably didn't exist for a while or is really new.
Yeah.
In the lexicon. But I hear that stuff, and the service, I mean, it's all about service, right? And, hearing that sort of stuff and being like, yes, that's good things for the world. There's no downside to that.
Exactly. Like, I think cops definitely get it a lot worse than us. When something goes wrong, paramedics get invited into these people's houses generally with open arms. You know what I mean? Whereas cops, some people have that stigma about them. Some people don't like them. They'll abuse them. They'll sit there, videotape them. They'll assault them. Like, it does happen to paramedics too. But I think cops, out of all the services, have it the worst. Like military science,
and they don't get paid enough. Cops don't get paid enough for all of that.
Definitely not.
And you want to attract good people. Like, you should. I think the police force should have the best people in a country in them.
Absolutely.
You should pay them accordingly. It's insane that one of my favorite genres of content and reels to watch is like a cop pulling someone over.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
The driver that's filming it, and they're like, "No, I don't have to show you my ID. What crime have I done?" And
they're all the, what do we call? There's a term from sovereign citizens.
I fucking love it, and it's one of my. And then I just look at the cop and I'm like, mate, you just want to punch this guy's head in, and you're in the right, because that guy's annoying as. And they're like, no, under the section, like, and they're just like, you got to be on your drills for that sort of thing that's happening, right? And then the comments are incredible, and like, I just love it. So good on everyone making that.
Especially in America, man, they cop some flack over there.
Oh,
they're cops.
You should just pay. I think a copper should get 140 grand a year.
Yep. Yeah, they deserve a lot. They put up with a lot.
They deserve enough to make sure that their home life is easy, so then they can go to work and they can deal with the worst parts of society and come home and not have to stress about normal life stuff.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move on. So you spent 7 years in total in the army. What got you to the point where, like, it's time to move on?
I was hanging for an Afghanistan trip. I was like, I want to go. And that was like everyone else. We were just so pumped and we were so excited and we wanted to get it done. Long story short, an opportunity came up and I didn't get it. I didn't. Numbers game just didn't happen for me. And I looked at I was really cut about that. And I looked at my life and I was like, I can stay in and I can chase a carrot for something that may or may not happen, but really I'm just staying in for this outcome and not the job.
Yep.
Or 25 years of age, I've been in since I'm 18. I can, like, what's next? I looked at some people from the sergeant rank above who had clearly stayed in for the reasons that I don't know how to do anything else.
Yep.
Or this is me forever. I want to just retire one day. I looked at every single one of them and it didn't inspire me whatsoever.
And that comes down to the being comfortable thing. Comfortable, they've been doing it for so many years and don't know anything else, and they're institutionalized.
Totally.
Yep.
And I was like, I can do that. But like, just know, Jarryd, this is my inner voice. Just know, Jarryd, you know this now, that is not where you want to be. So if you want to stay in and do that, don't fucking complain when you get to that age and you're miserable, because you know now, right?
Yep.
I was like, cool. So during my life at that sort of stage, I was extremely passionate about cooking. In my spare time, I was just creating. I would like come back from a bush ex with all these ideas. I'd have all the boys around and they were having like ceviche before we'd go out on the piss. Like I was just super into it, and I just loved the creation of it all and the creative process and the learning. Like you can never learn all of cooking.
Yep.
There's not even one for each cuisine, and then there's multiple cuisines. So just love that endless depth of that. So then when my time in the military was coming up, I'd made the decision. I was like, look, I want to do my job at the highest ability. Now I know that's not going to happen in the army because I have to wait another X amount of years to get on this trip, or I need to go and be a special forces soldier, and you can't be a special forces soldier if you don't enjoy the process and you're just waiting for an outcome. That's how life works, right? So I was like, well, I want to go do something to the highest of my ability. So the natural thing is you should go do something you're passionate about, which is had my head in a cookbook constantly, just absorbing knowledge. Oh my God, I can't wait to cut this thing this way, because then if you grill it down this way, it releases the bitterness, which, I was just fucking obsessed.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, life's simple. You just go do that. You just go do what you love in life, right? So put my discharge in, waited 6 months, and then I had like a really healthy payout in the way that I had heaps of leave.
Gotcha. Yep.
I took it in fortnightly payments. Essentially, I left the military, but I was still employed, but I didn't really finish up for ages away.
So basically you're on ARL or holiday leave until you finished up your time. Yep.
Yeah, and then I never had to go back. So it worked out really, really good in a way that I could then go and study properly. So I was like, cool, we're getting paid right, at that stage, compared to a chef's apprentice wage.
Absolutely.
So you can either become a chef apprentice where you work in a workplace and then you go to a TAFE every Wednesday or whatever, and you learn 4 years. I was like, I don't have time for that. I need to get my life started now. So I went to a culinary school and I got qualified in pretty much 9 months, and I just had to do a little bit in a workplace at the end.
Wow.
And I just fucking did that. But the downside to that is if you want to do an apprentice and do the apprenticeship system, your workplace will generally pay for it.
Yep.
But if you want to do a culinary school, you got to pay for it. And I was like, I got some money in the bank. I'm getting paid for a little bit. This is the best opportunity to get ahead.
Yep.
I'm not going to get paid fortnightly for a long time forever again. Let's think smart, which is very, very mature for a 25-year-old man.
It is.
Did that, got qualified. Somehow I ended up in the Gold Coast. I was working there. And then this is when my kind of life changed for a little bit. Also, if you're in the army and then you want to become a chef, it's just such a quick transition, because everyone in a chef kind of, as the way their humor works and the way they are kind of cooked in the head, should get put into the same category as first responders. They're the only people the only industry outside of that, maybe motocross people, who you can still be yeah, fuck it, and just tell the most craziest shit. And they're like, that's a really nice story. In offices, you just get fired.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and everyone in the kitchen's just got, they're like soldiers. They got tattoos and a drinking problem. It's the same thing, right?
Yep.
And so you just rock up there. And because I'd already been in a team environment that, we do things together. I was just a really good fit as a chef. I looked at it and I was like, oh, you work hard and you work together and you get the job done. Fucking giddy up. And places where I worked were like, damn, Jarryd's good, right? So I was working, and then I'd still had to just finish a little bit off, like a couple of modules of my apprenticeship off to, because I'd done culinary school, doesn't quite.
Oh, so you got to do like placement sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
You're still getting paid and you're working, but I was like, essentially I went from like a final year apprentice immediately, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in that process, this thing came up, which was like, if you apply for this thing, they pick 30 of the best apprentices in Australia. They fly you down to Melbourne and you do like a master chef for like 3 or 4 days. And I was like, yeah, that sounds absolutely cool. Let's do that. Entered that, got through, became one of the 30, went down to Melbourne, did it was just sick. It was, like on MasterChef, how you watch mystery box challenges.
Yep.
So they modeled MasterChef off culinary competitions that existed in the industry.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes they're like, go in that room, get 5 things, see what you can make. Like, it was just sick and intense, and you have like celebrity chefs that were there like judging, and it feels like you're a part of something, right? And I was a little bit sort of hooked into that. Ended up finishing like in the top 5.
Wow.
And from that got offered a job in Melbourne, which was like, do you want to work at this 2-hatted restaurant? We're in like the top 10, restaurants in the Melbourne, which is the culinary destination. All you got to do is pick up your things and go. And I was like, yes.
Absolutely.
I was like, we're doing this? I was like, this has happened really, really fast. I was in the military like 18 months ago. And now I'm like the new guy at one of the sort of, best restaurants in Melbourne, of which generally to get a job there, like I worked there for free for 3 days just as a trial.
Yeah, right.
And we're talking like you are making some dishes from scratch. You're making ingredients from scratch.
Jesus.
Like you are making stocks. We would make this polenta dish where we would grab corn in and dehydrate the corn to then grind the corn to then make like this process.
Make your own flour and stuff.
It took 3 days to make polenta.
Jesus Christ.
And I just was hooked, and I was like, this is fucking sick. I was like, this is just awesome. And it was silly, and you're in your whites, and we used to work so hard there. We start work at 9 o'clock in the morning and finish at 1 o'clock in the morning. Grinding. And I thought the army was hard, and I was like, wow, this is difficult.
Chefs got it hard, man. They do a lot of fucking hours. Like
don't get paid that much
hours. I know.
There's not much in the industry. It's like, and this is before the George Columbaris days where he got exposed for underpaying everyone.
He did, yep. I remember that.
He was just the figurehead. Like, he was just the guy on telly that copped the news. Like, it was kind of industry wide where they were like, what are you doing? You can't, like, I was on a contract for 38 hours a week earning nothing, $52,000, right?
Yep.
But working 80, 90. So working like almost 2.
Yeah, double. Yeah.
But it was great. It was amazing and at a point in time, like, that was kind of what I wanted. I was like, in the military, I couldn't get the heights that I wanted. I wanted to do something at the best of my ability, surrounded by people who were doing the best of their ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I was a junior there, I was like, this is so cool. Everyone around me knows everything more than I do. This is such a great thing to be like the smallest fish in a bigger pond. And it's a bit of a sponge. And then I did that for a few years, and this is where, like, obviously I'm a comedian now, so you're like, hey, your life's going well, like, why? Where does this all change? But like in the military and then into chefing, like, I was just like drinking as well, like boozing, and like you can get away with it for a little while. And I think when I was in the army, especially in mortar platoon, 2nd battalion, we were just fucking pissheads. We were the absolute legends of the battalion, you know what I mean?
Defense has got a big drinking culture though.
Totally. And then when I became a chef, it just slid in really easy. And instead of being in the army where it's like, you can drink as much as you want at work at the boozer 1 day a week, it was like, you can do this whilst working.
Wow.
If you can do your job, and sometimes, some chefs make them better. And then when we were working in fine dining, it's like we were drinking like bloody gin and tonics out of that looked like soda water
Jeez.
throughout the day, and then, you know, partying on, and a lot of substance abuse. I got into that as well, like doing like fucking drinking gin and tonics and snorting cocaine while putting flowers on little dishes. You know what I mean? It's quite the lifestyle.
Yeah, right.
And something happened, and I was just like, I gotta take a fucking break. You know what I mean? And then I got a job at a different place. I left ultra fine dining and just went to a really nice sort of restaurant, and cut out the substance abuse, but man, the drinking just stayed. And long story short, I got like 7 years into being a chef. About the same time I'd been working in a kitchen, and got offered a head chef role and a chance to sort of run my own place, which is bonkers in 7 years, like to go from not qualified to then.
Yeah, massive achievement. Massive.
Yeah. And in my mind, and this is the funny thing about achieving things in life, is I think it was like the Afghanistan thing where I was like, I was focused on the outcome, and I was into cooking, but somewhere I loved cooking when I was doing it at home and I was learning. And then when the industry became like, oh, it's this grindy thing that you got to like bleed through, I'd lost the love along the way, and I was just stuck in the machine. And, you know, I got kind of everything I wanted. I became sort of head chef at this nice place. We got like into a list of best casual dining places in Melbourne, which was just a huge achievement to be like. Something happened one day, and I feel like I got 3 things that I wanted, and I felt happy for about 48 hours. And then I went, holy fuck, I'm not content. This isn't what I want.
Yeah, you're not fulfilled.
Not fulfilled. And I was just like, I'd worked all of my mates out of my life, like the working a job like that and then going to another job and then building it into something means that you don't have any time for anything else. And I got to this point where I just realized, I woke up on like the 3rd day and I was like, fuck, I'd worked a couple of relationships out of my life where I was just like, you know, people that had loved you and stuff. And you're like, no, I'm too busy doing this thing because I'm selfish. And, you know, when you have a day off, you fucking hungover because you've been drinking piss whilst working and, you know, living this amazing lifestyle, being a very high functioning, you know, pisshead. That I woke up one day and I was like, not only am I not happy, not only am I not content, but I don't even know what I am, because I spent 7 years in the military. I spent 7 years chasing this down. I'm 14 years into being an adult and I don't have anything to show for it. I'm less than. I'm fucking tired. My soul is tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you've gone into coming straight out of 2 jobs that are very, very high paced as well.
High paced. And I said to my work, I said, I'm gonna have a couple of weeks off. And then I had a couple of weeks off. I said, what I need to do is I need to switch off. And then when I switched off, I had a fucking mental breakdown. It was the first time in a decade and a half that I switched off. And my whole body went like, mate, we've been waiting for this for ages. Boom. Have everything, have all the switch off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, understand.
And couldn't get out of bed. I was depressed. And I essentially couldn't really go back to work properly. I did go back to work, didn't really work out for me. Boozed my way through that a little bit. That seemed to like work. Good thing about being a high functioning like alcoholic, right, is that if you're like I was a great drunk, the best, kind, loving, do your job, listen to people. You know, there's 2 types of pissheads. There's one that gets angry and fucking hits things.
Yep.
There's one that's good to be around.
Yep.
And everyone loved being around me, but I didn't like being around me. When I had to open my eyes up in the morning, I was like, God damn it, I feel like fucking shit, right? I've been drinking for 10 years, you know? And it all just came crashing down, man. And next minute I'm sitting in front of a doctor, like, I don't know, dude, like, what, you tell me. And he's like, as you do when you're an adult, he's like, how much you drink? And I'm like, oh, a little bit. And He's like, we got to get you on some antidepressants, so we got to stop this. And extremely suicidal at the time as well. I'm like, my life doesn't mean anything. I'm like, when you work so hard for nothing?
Yep.
And that's exactly how I felt. I was in like a funk for a year.
Wow. Did you have that strength to take yourself to the doctor yourself, or did you reach out to someone?
Oh no, I was dating this girl because, like, when I say dating, I mean like you've got a hospitality dating, which is like she was one of the waitresses and
Yep.
we worked together, and after work we would hang out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And she's like, mate, you gotta sort this shit out. So like there was a period of time where I got nasty too, like working.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like in the mornings and stuff, just like, fuck, things are going wrong. You know what I mean? And it's like, didn't have the maturity to even be like, it's not everyone else, man, it's you. Like, this is your ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is your car and the wheels are falling off. And then just went boom into like a depression. Long and thick. Antidepressants, getting fat, no boner, the whole thing, man. Like, it was a sad, sad time of my life.
What's some of the techniques or things that the doctor asked you to do to help you through this?
I mean, I wish I'd listened to him at the time, but it's all the good shit. It's like, look after your diet. I always think like in life, there's things. You need shelter, right? You need water, food, and like air. And if you almost look after all those four things, right? Shelter, change your environment, clean up the fucking house, like make your bed, like do your washing. Like if you just fix that first thing, life's already heaps better, right?
Yep.
Food, like look after yourself, put some stuff in, like put some good shit into your body that doesn't make you tired, like sugar. You know what I mean? Have that stuff on the side, but make it the 20%, not the 80%, right?
Yeah, you're not going to buy a Ferrari and just put the shit fuel in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Water, man, drink some fucking water. How many people don't drink water?
It's
You
crazy,
look at them
man.
like, what are you doing? And like, I've got a headache. You're like, yeah, I haven't seen you drink water in 6 years. Like drink water and then air. Like you got to breathe. Like you got to learn to breathe. You got to do mindfulness and stuff. Like you got to. If you're having a panic attack, there's ways you can fix that through breath.
Exactly, that combat breathing.
But it's a thing.
Right?
Right?
100% is. The only other thing that I'll add to that is movement. Get out and move. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just go for a walk and do it outside and get some sun while you're doing it.
And I didn't do any of that shit that he was talking about, He's like, I'm like, because you're just depressed. When you're depressed, you can't do stuff, right? You need help you need to look after yourself, right? So long story short, so instead what you do is you just end up just punching down fucking antidepressants, which don't give you any joy. They don't give you as much sadness, but you don't get as much joy, right?
They just numb you, right?
Yeah. And I remember like in that moment where I was just like, I think my life's over. You know what I mean? I actually thought about ending it a few times, right? And I was like, I might as well. I'm not doing anything. I'm alive. I said, I failed it. Most people start out their life and they try and do something. And I've tried and I failed. Big victim bitch mode, like, fuck this, fuck that. Like, I was the worst. Inside my head, I was the worst. Still pretty functionable and smiley, but it was dark in there. And I was less than happy. I was less than normal, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck, how good's that? So I quit my job and I was like, I just need to, I don't know. I had so much confusion. A friend of mine was working at a cafe and I was like, can I just work in the morning? I think I need to stop working at night. I just didn't know what to do. And he's like, mate, you're too overqualified for this. And I was like, please, man, I just need to cook some eggs.
Yep.
I need a job. So I
can't
can't
get it simple. And people don't realize how much the shift work affects you, staying up all night, not proper sleeping schedule.
Yeah. And luckily my mate was like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll give you a job, which didn't work too well at the start because I was like fucking mad into alcoholism. I was like, oh, now I can just drink earlier. And he sat me down after, like, once. He's one of my best friends. He's like, dude, what's going on, man? Like, you are we used to work together in fine dining. Then we went off and did our own things. He's like, what's going on? Like, you are off. And I was like, he was probably the first person I said to him. I said, I'm depressed. I am depressed. And then I whinged and bitched about 5 or 6 different things about why it's not my fault and X, Y, and Z, and, you know, all of that sort of stuff that everyone does. And it was sometime in that period of time when I was just a fucking downward spiral wreck that stand-up comedy had come into my sphere. It wasn't something that I existed in me too much. I always had I played in a band when I was a teenager. I enjoyed that. I had those dreams of being on stage, but there was this open mic comedy night near where we were working, and we used to go and watch it. And it was like the wildest thing I'd ever seen. Like, people could just write their name down on this list and you could just get on stage with a microphone and a light. And we used to watch it and drink beers, and I was just like, what are these fucking humans doing? Like, this was entry level where it was terrible. And then every now and then someone would be awesome. And then it was one of these nights where the pros could drop down too. Yep. So you'd be like, horrible, okay, horrible Dave Hughes. And you're like, what the fuck is it? And it pulled a crowd, and it was cool, man. I was like, this seems like the wildest thing I've ever seen. And I was so depressed / balls deep in antidepressants that I had no emotions anyway, that I was just thinking, maybe I could do that. Maybe that's something that I could do. And it just played in my mind. And then one day I just wrote my name down on the list and went up there, and I didn't really do very well, but it was the first time in a long time that I'd felt anything. Like, I was really nervous. I was excited. I got like a rush afterwards, and I was like, damn, what the fuck was that?
Yep. Finding that purpose, eh?
I'm just going to keep doing that because it seems to be like the only thing possible. So I went back every Tuesday night for like weeks, and then I enjoyed it so much that I was like, are there other nights? I said to the comedians, I was like, is there other nights like this? And they're like, yeah, then most suburbs of Melbourne. And I was like, okay, cool. So I can do this every night. And they're like, if you want to. I was like, cool. So I used to just do that.
And then, what did you used to do for your comedy? What did you come up with stories yourself? Did you use some of the stuff you use in military life?
Who knows, man? I was just like, it was such a blur because I was like, okay, I think we're into this. And then, so I was like, okay, I have to work a day job, which is cool. You can't just become a comedian, which is great. And then I need to go out and work at nighttime. So I'll set my alarm early, and I'll wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and that gives me 1 hour to like write some things down that I've thought about. I can then take those things I've thought about into a kitchen with some other guys, and I can just talk shit on the idea all day long if I need to. Can really sort of hone it and get it down. I can have a sleep on the tram, and then I can go out and I can do comedy for free. I'm like, this is the only, for me, I'm like, I think I can outwork my depression. And it was the only thing forward, right? I was like, okay, cool. I think that's how I think. And I was just trying things. I was just I was talking about stuff that I'd seen on the way there. And like, it was just mayhem. And some nights it was good and some nights it was terrible. I have no idea what I was going on about. And I wasn't really talking about the military either then. I was like, middle of Melbourne. I never used to say I was really in the military, and I was just doing stuff. And then one day someone was like, hey, do you want to do this gig? We can pay you $50. And I was like, you can get paid for this?
Sweet.
Like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And then like I was slowly getting better, and I'd got off antidepressants in the process. Like 6 months to a year of doing comedy.
Yep.
I was like, I don't want this shit anymore. Like, I saw a photo of myself and I was fucking fat as, and I was like, put him in the bin and never look back, right?
Yep.
I was still boozing, but I just got control a little bit. I had something. And then I started, because I had to start getting up earlier in the morning, I was like, I'll quit boozing as much. I want to focus on the mornings. I can get a lot done if I write. And that's going to be my ticket out of it. And then more people started being like, do you want to do this gig for $50? Do you want to do this gig for $50? And then I got to this point, I'm like, holy shit, I'm making $150 a week doing comedy. I mean, it only takes me, 30 hours to do in my spare time, but hey, we're off and running here.
Something.
So then I I went from 5 days a week to 4 days a week, and I was like, we're on here, baby. Now we've got one whole day to dedicate to the comedy. And then, that 150 turned into 300, and I'm like, we're working 3 days a week now. Let's go. And it just kind of kept going that way until I'd had enough momentum. I'd booked in my first Melbourne Comedy Festival show, and I looked at my calendar and I was like, holy God, we've got 4 or 5 months of comedy in the books. So I quit my job to do stand-up comedy, and that was in Melbourne 5 weeks before COVID.
Oh, the timing, Jesus.
And that was like crazy. I was like, holy shit, only I can time things like that. Only I can work so hard at something and let it all collapse around you. I was fucking devastated.
Oh, I can imagine. Jesus. How the hell? Because Victoria and Melbourne was the most locked down place in the whole world.
It's about 2 years. In total, it was about 2 years when you take into account that I was trying to work in entertainment and we had restrictions on capacity for ages. So I remember when we first broke, no one could earn any money because they were like, hey, this club normally holds 70 people. But because they're all underground, basement tight, little like cool underground scene stuff, they're like, we can only have 14 people in.
Oh.
Chairs stretched out. So the entertainment industry had come back, but it hadn't really come back in a way that was commercially viable. So it in all, it was about 2 years of whatever. But it was tell you what, looking back on it, it was exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everything had just been ripped. I was like, I'm doing this, man. Like I still had some Timor money left.
Yep.
In my bank account. I was like, I'm ready to take this leap. And in the process of doing COVID, like I was on, because my backup was hospitality as well, right?
Yep.
I couldn't even get a job. I was like, I'm unqualified. I was a digger. Now I was a chef. Now I'm a comedian. Can't do comedy. No one's hiring chefs. Like in Melbourne, I was like fucking unemployed, and I didn't have it because I didn't have a job, and I'd registered my comedy business so new I didn't really get any government handout.
Yeah,
and
right.
I had to use all of my Timor money to keep afloat. And I was like, man, I've just lost everything, And I always remember the day like I was on the computer being like, how do we go bankrupt? Is this a fucking thing? Like I was looking at forms, and then I was like, do you know what? I didn't do the forms because I was like, I couldn't be bothered. I was like, this looks like a process. I can't be fucked doing it. We'll just figure it out. Like when it all finally happened, I had $120 in my bank account, and I was like, well, let's just get it done, man. Like if you want to do this, like let's just do it, bro. Figure the fucking thing out, man. And that's when, in that process, I was like, well, I got to get my name out there more. Like there's no time to waste any longer. I got to figure out how to make some videos. Like I was computer illiterate. I was like, let's go on YouTube and Google how to make clips. You know what I mean? And it was in that time when I started making online content, and it was in that pressure cooker of an environment where I'm like, look, if this doesn't work, I'm probably going to fucking kill myself because this is all over. So like there's nothing left. Like let's just give it a red hot go. And did that, and things started to work.
Jeez. And how long did it take for your social media presence to kick off? Because you're quite active on social media.
I am now. So 2 things in that lockdown process too was when I first started, I said, I got to get off the piss. Like this isn't what we're about. It makes you dumb if you do it too much. Yep. And not to be arrogant, but I was like, Jarryd, you are one of the smartest people we've ever met. I know because I live with you in my head. Yeah. And I know the things you think about. You walk around and you go, and you think of things that people don't think of, right? And I was like, we got to start looking after everything. We got to get off the booze. Cut it out. And I did. And it was in that space in my mind which allowed me to go and learn the things I needed to make social media content. And I was like, we've got time. Like, stop getting hungover. You know what I mean? You're wasting your time. And then I was like, okay. So I went from being computer illiterate. So I was obviously a Mortimer, not much computer skills there. And then I went to working with my hands as a chef So by the time I'd sort of got to comedy level, I was like seeing some young guys in the game that were making like content and killing it. And I was like, man, that's like, these young people are fresh, you know what I mean? They know what they're doing. And I was like, cool, I got to learn how to do that. So I started just giving it a shot and putting it out there. And it's really funny when you're making content and you know what it's like. You go, I'm going to make this podcast. I'm going to tell people about it. Who's going to watch it? Who's going to listen to it?
Yep.
And it's very self-conscious. Putting yourself out there in anything you make is extremely confronting.
Yep.
You create all these narratives in the back of your brain. Like, what if people think I'm a fucking idiot? Or like, that person over there has got a bigger following, bigger podcast, bigger whatever. Like, why would I think that I could? You know what I mean? But the actual story is they started in the same place you were, and things just built, right? So I started making some videos, and I made like, I made 40 videos, and most of them aren't on my channel anymore because I deleted them after I got some success because I was just learning, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It was terrible, and it was in that time of like playing around and figuring out what people liked. I was like, I'm gonna talk about some military stuff because I've got all of this backlog of stories and things that I know, and you know, we're trying stuff already, and none of it's working. What have we got to lose? So, and I put one video out about the military, and I went to bed that night, and then I woke up the next day, and like 900,000 people had watched it.
That's easy.
I had all of these messages on my phone being like, I just saw you on the internet. Like, that video is hilarious. And then people from the military would be like, man, that's so funny. Like, good to see you killing it. I'm like, I'm not. And my first immediate thought, and this is the weird thing about the internet, is like there's no training for this anywhere in society, but nobody really teaches you how to go viral, like from an emotional sense.
Yep.
Because my first thought was, when I saw my phone, I thought someone's died, because I just saw all these notifications. I was like, fuck, someone's died.
Something bad's happened. Yep.
Someone's died. 2, I'm in trouble. My first thought was, fuck, someone's found out.
Yep.
And then once I looked into it, I was like, oh my God, it's that video. And then I went into the app, and I was like, onto TikTok, and I was like, oh my God, this 100,000 people have pressed like on this thing. Like 900,000 people have watched it. There is hundreds and hundreds of comments. And I was like, oh, what, is this good? Is this bad? Like, what's going on? And I'm looking through it, and I'm like, people seem to be enjoying this. Like, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just go through all the messages, because people have messaged in and they're like, amazing. And I was like, fuck. Some guys sent me messages like, hey, we're watching this video in a tank in Iraq.
Wow.
I was like, okay. Like,
holy shit.
No worries, man. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just make another one, and then I'll just make another one, and then, you know, I'm 512 videos later. So
that's so cool.
26 million people have watched the content, and I'm really, really grateful for the version of me that didn't let the doubt win.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess when we all start this, we have a little bit of imposter syndrome, like you spoke about.
I've got it right now. I've got it every day. Yeah.
Oh, well, I have it like this. Like, why am I interviewing people? There's people so much more qualified that have, you know, done so much more than I have. Why me? I think it's important to share other people's stories. This has got nothing to do with me. This is sharing the stories.
You know what's good about imposter syndrome?
Tell me.
That it's a really good indication that you are doing something that is greater than your current self. Because ideally in a world, you get to always feel like an imposter, because it means you're always growing and you're trying to like achieve more. And if you live a life where you don't feel like you're an imposter, then you're probably not doing enough. And if I had to pick between feeling content and bored and depressed and safe, but also have regret because I knew there was this thing that I never wanted to do, or imposter syndrome, it's imposter syndrome every single day.
Absolutely. Like, I think about every single day, like at work, you know, we obviously deal with people dying and stuff all the time. And I don't want to be on my deathbed, you know, as an old person, if, you know, I make it that long, thinking about what I should have done. Why didn't I try? I would rather try something and fail than get to the end of my life and go, fuck, I wish I tried that.
That's it. It's the whole thing,
Yeah.
man. And it's cool. And, since putting myself out there and being so uncomfortable, but knowing that I could use my brain in a way that I could just just be authentic. I was like, I find these things funny.
Yeah.
This is what, in my mind, when people are talking and they're talking about something serious, I'm like, there's a funny side to this. And I just started sharing that other people started going, yes, I think that's funny too.
Absolutely.
It has now allowed me to meet and hang out with people who I have no business with. You know what I mean? Like people, just simple people, like someone like Heston Russell, for example.
Yep. Yeah,
who was in the 2RER with me, but then we were separated by worlds. He's gone on and done these amazing things.
Yep.
And then the fact that I just go, "Oi, how funny is this?" and put it out to the world. Like I was messaging him the other day, being like, we were just connected.
Yep.
And that is the reward that I've been given from not giving in to doubt.
Absolutely. Like I met Heston when he was up here for International Men's Day. He went to do a talk, and that's the specific reason why me and my other mate went to it, to go see him. And when I messaged him when I started the podcast, I said, "Hey man, I don't know if you remember me. I met you here. I've started a podcast." And he instantly is like, "Yeah, man, happy to come on." And man, I was like a deer in headlights when I had him on my podcast. I was thinking like, holy fuck, I've got Heston Russell sitting in front of me. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, what happened to bring all this to fruition that he's right there? You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
And I feel like a normal person. And then people say that's things about me sometimes.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way with you now, man. Like, it's crazy.
I don't know how to feel about that. And, I just did these shows in Darwin and, I'm like, walk around the shopping center and people are like, "Hey, it's you." And I'm like, somebody said to me, they're like, "I can't believe you're so down to earth." And I'm like, dude, I'm just a guy. Like, I didn't train for this. I didn't set out to, I'm just trying to have fun, and I hope you have fun too.
Just took a chance.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, I'm not any better than you. Like, if anything, we've just made of the same things. Like, I failed a couple of things in my life. Like, I was selfish and I looked towards my career, and I was selfish and I looked towards boozing, and I left a lot of people hanging, and there were some cool people that really believed in me, and I let them down then. That when it was time to not any longer, and to just be a great guy and try and just live my best one, that's when everything changed for me.
Yep.
There wasn't any secret sauce. It was just, you had to just be yourself and not try and be anything too.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Just be authentic. Yep.
Yeah.
And I find never comparing yourself to anyone or anything, because the comparison's the thief of joy.
Yeah, totally. And it's changed my life for the in ways that I could never have imagined. I'll get to dude, I worked one day this week. I got a gig tomorrow night. That's it. The town hall in Melbourne. I'm not looking for riches. I look for freedom. And I was like, this week, I'm like, we're emceeing a ball, and you know what? It pays a week's worth of work. The old me would have been like, let's get 5 of these.
Yep.
The new me is like, great, there's more time to breathe. There's more time to read.
But riches is different. You can have riches in family. You can have riches in health. You can have riches in money. But the best riches is your time, your health, and your family. That's what matters, man. Like coming home and seeing my kids, and my wife, there's nothing else that can beat it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
That's
awesome. And I've been 11 months off the booze completely, and then I had a 2-year sort of wind down period from that. Fucking best thing I ever did, dude. Just this year I decided running.
Yeah, I saw your running cult.
Oh, it's the gayest thing ever.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man.
I got my first race on Sunday, so I've got the bib on, and I'm doing I'm pushing myself. I'm not good at it. It is cool, but there's air coming in the nose, the legs are pumping, and we're sucking at something,
And you're alive, you're doing it, and sometimes you don't have to do something for a reason. You just do it because you can.
Yeah. Started meditating.
Very important.
Breath work. Just trying to eat less shit, man. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, you can go to the shops and you go, hey, that's shit and that's good. Let's make sure we have more of the good stuff.
Exactly. But you look at shops now, and if a shop has to have a health food aisle, what does that tell you?
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
And then I reckon the best return of investment I did for my entire life this year was I decided to read. I picked up, like, there was some stuff I didn't know about, like money. And I was like, I think I need to learn, because they don't teach you that stuff at school.
Yep.
Right? They teach you how to be a worker. And then they're like, okay, well, how does compound interest work? Like, that's the shit they should teach you at school. They're like, hey, if you get a loan, like, how does paying it back work? So I was like, well, fuck it, I'll go find the knowledge. And like, I read 23 books this year, and it was the best thing I've ever done. Like, just learning some stuff on things I didn't know. Like, I read a book on investing, and I was like, okay, cool. So now I've got like a little investment thing. Like, there's nothing. Like, there's like a little bit of money in there, but it shows me what's happening. So now I get to learn. Like, I've got the feedback now.
Yeah, bibliotherapy, man. I had Dylan Conway.
He's a great dude.
He's a great dude, man. And like, I've been reading a lot more. Like, I always read, but I've been reading a lot more. And just he's doing some great things in the veteran space and the first responder space with his community libraries.
He's a cool dude, man. And
he is.
I got to saw him. We were at Governor General's house together. And when two fucking grunts get together, even though he's an officer, right? When you get to some of these events, everyone's a bit of a cockhead.
Yep.
And like, you see two grunts and you just kind of get together and you're like, oi, how fucking ridiculous is this? And you just start having a good time. Yeah, it's nice. And I'm so glad I started looking after myself, man.
Yeah, those small changes that you can make a massive fucking difference in the long run. A massive.
And if this is I can't attribute a lot of, it's like, quitting drinking was probably not the things that, either made me more money in my business and all that sort of stuff, but it gave me the time to think about the things it did. It gave me the time to think, maybe I would like to push myself. And, instead of being like, I'd like to run, but instead of being like, it's too hard and I suck at it, it gave me the time to go like, well, come on, man, you've done harder in your life. Let's move towards something we want to be. And, if that trend keeps going, then who knows where the ceiling is.
Absolutely. What is the pinnacle of comedy for you? What do you want to achieve out of this?
I tell you what, there's a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to start by saying I'm grateful for everything that's happened now, and if it ended tomorrow or if it plateaued, I would still consider myself to be extremely lucky. But if I could, one of two things. One of the first live comedy I ever saw was a guy called Troy Kinney, who did like
I know Troy, yeah,
us in East Timor. And I remember being like, hey, this guy's getting flown around for this. Like, I still had that thought. I chatted to him after I was just a digger. Like, oh, so where are you going? Like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, like, and I was like, what? That guy's just talking. I'd love to do a Forces tour. I don't know who does that, who reached out. I've tried to ask around. It seems like some murky business. But if I could go from a few places and visit some troops overseas, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be freaking
That would
cool.
be like a little full circle moment for me.
Yep.
And the second thing is I'm gonna try and go to America.
That's cool.
That's where the biggest, baddest people are doing it. If I ever get the shot to give it a go once and just be like, can we do this? Is this something that we can try? Because knowing that if we don't, life is still all good.
Yeah.
There's the thing. So there's a tour in place in America at the moment that goes to all of the military bases. Now, the USA has like 1 million active service members. They have the same population of Australia that identifies as a veteran.
All right.
It's just a really big market. I'm going to try and build my profile big enough to be able to go, hey, I'm the Aussie you. Can I get onto this tour? So then when I'm there, I can do all of the comedy clubs whilst touring around.
That would be cool.
And then if I could do that, and if they just didn't get any of it or whatever, and it just ended up being a disaster, I can always come home. But there's a little part of me, actually there's a really big part of me that says if we get that opportunity and kick that fucking ball out of the park.
Dude, that would be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Final question. If you could cook a fine dining meal for anyone in the world, living or dead, who would it be and what would you cook?
Oh, dude. Shit. Oh, God. I don't know. I reckon this is one of the nice. I'm going to answer this philosophically and then I'll give you an actual answer.
Done.
But I think this question changes in your life, right? Because if you ask me this in 40 years, I'll say my mum because she's not around any longer and I'd like to do that one more time.
Yep, absolutely.
So you got to be grateful for the people around you. But if it was anyone,
anyone,
do I get to talk to them as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Have dinner with them, sit down, you make the meal.
I often think I'd like to pick people's brains, and I think I'd like to either sit down with Alexander the Great.
Oh, my cousin.
You Macedonian?
My dad's from Greek Macedonia, exactly. My mum's from Kalymnos, one of the islands, so yes.
What's the thought? Is it Macedonian or Macedonian? What do we?
Macedonia. Greek Macedonia.
Right.
Not the Scotland.
Let's not yeah. I mean, I'm talking like. Oh, dude, there's another pisshead for you. He conquered the known world drunk.
Fucking sure did.
But yeah, it'd be cool to sit down and have dinner with him. And I think that would be an interesting conversation. And I'll be like, dude, what are you doing this for? And he's like, I want to be the best. And I'm like, oh, yeah, enjoy it because it's not going to last that long, you know?
Yep. I've actually been to his father's grave, King Philip. Yes. Yep, in Pella in Greece.
Oh yeah, I'd love to go. I'm a history nerd, so. And then who else would I like to meet I'd like to meet someone completely foreign in thought process, right? So I often think about this as like, if you could go anywhere and party in your entire life, what would it be? And for me, it would be the opening of Stonehenge.
Oh, geez.
Right. To think about this, you've got a couple of generations. Let's say a few thousand people have died in the process. You've dragged fucking blocks from all corners of England. You finally set it up. You go, right, cool. There's like the head little like engineer dude with a clipboard, and he's like, all right, when this star hits this point, it all lines up, and then everyone would be there like. And then it would just be like 7 days of orgy.
Fucking absolutely.
I reckon, and if I could speak the language and be there, I would be like, there's every village from around the joints just descended. There's cows getting slaughtered. Everyone's having a barbecue, and everyone's just like, we fucking did it. I think that would just be really cool.
Right, that would be awesome. Hey, dude, I really want to thank you for coming on. This has been by far my most enjoyable podcast I've done. I'll tell you that. You're doing, so much for the veteran space, bringing to light.
I mean, and that's the interesting my last point. Can I have the last point?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is interesting. So I didn't really talk about the army after I left. Didn't wear my medals. Hadn't gone to an Anzac Day for about, I'm going to say almost 8-9 years. And not out of spite. It was just like something that I'd done in my previous life. And I didn't really feel like I belonged. I was like, cool, I'm off doing other things now. I'm a chef. Like I'm a legend in my own right, blah, 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 blah. And then when I started making comedy and I started making military comedy, it dragged me into the community in such a powerful way that arguably I'm one of the big contributors now. And it's been such a wonderful experience coming back to that community because they're allowing me to live my dream with not only their support, but like their money. Like when I tour, people have to pay to watch, and they come out and they do it. And I love that. And they've made my dream come true. And the fact that I get I get that. I'll forever be thankful. So
That's awesome, man. Like I really want to thank you for coming on, man. It's been eye-opening, your story, so many different careers, you've obviously dealt with a lot personally with yourself as well, and it's great to see you come out the other end with such positivity, and I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of, the diggers that are still in at the moment to know that they can come out and they can achieve their dreams, and you can go through several different career paths to kind of find yourself and see what kind of works for you.
You can keep finding. I mean, if something in 2 years, if something happens and I go, man, comedy sucks, I'll just fucking quit. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not hung up on anything. Like, you gotta be really. I've learned now to really accept my identity after having an identity crisis. That I am not a soldier. I am not a chef. I am not a comedian. I am me, and that's the thing that matters. If that means I have to get another occupation down the line, fuck it. The only thing that changes is my tax return.
Exactly, man. And it's dangerous when you match your identity to what you do. Like, I am not an emergency medical dispatcher. I'm a restie, and I'm a father, and I'm a husband. You know what I mean? I just work as an emergency medical dispatcher as a job. Never, ever tie your identity to your profession.
That's it, man. So,
awesome, dude. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate it.
And it has been brilliant.
Thank you for tuning into the Priority Zero podcast. We greatly appreciate your dedicated listenership. If you are interested in being featured as a guest on our show, we welcome you to reach out to us through our official channels on Facebook or Instagram. Alternatively, you can contact us via email at contact@priorityzero.com.au. We value your support in helping us spread these compelling stories to a wider audience. Kindly consider liking and sharing these episodes, as it plays a crucial role in our mission to reach as many people as possible.